Hi, my name is Elizabeth Ruedas. I am a design engineer with CNC Engineering in the City of Industry, where I get a chance to work on a lot of stormwater issues. And I know what you're thinking, stormwater in California? But actually, there are a lot of water jobs available, and they happen to come with great benefits, job security, and pretty good salaries as well. Let's learn a little bit more about wastewater workers from Jose Mendez. Jose, tell me a little bit about yourself.
My name is Jose Mendez. I've been with the LA Sanitation for a little over 2 years. And, in the time we've been here, I achieved the LA Sections Basin Collection Person of the Year. And then that got pushed up to the state level, and we got the Collections Person of the Year for Seawee. And it was really exciting to be able to be a part of that in San Jose.
That's a great outlook to have. Can you tell me a little bit about what you do every day?
Any given day, it can start off as just a basic pipe assessment, with the closed circuit televised system that we have. From there, we can get pulled off for a SR that came through to go inspect a possible protruding lateral that's blocking flow in the sewer system. If we take care of that by means of milling out this new innovative tool that we have, we can take care of that, and it saves the city money, and it allows us to have the exposure to be able to jump from ordinary tasks to, hey, now you're doing above and beyond type work. On any given day, you can get pulled off also and be an emergency SR like a collapsed sewer, which is now a sinkhole, and all this can be in a matter of 9 hours. So it can get pretty intense, from day to day.
And so in a lot of those difficult positions, you're forced to come up with innovative solutions, and it sounds like you do just that, because the award that you received was really recognizing your innovative efforts. And so can you give me some examples of times where you've taken a solution and came up with an innovative approach?
This milling tool that we call the rat rod, we had to give it a name that was, very close to how we put it together. And we got a bunch of parts, put the idea together that we can put this tool inside of a given sewer, and where there's a protruding lateral, which before it would take about $33,000 to have a contractor come and dig it out, because there was no way that we can take care of it. We also made another tool that we called the easement cart, and it makes it easier to be able to wheel out instead of carry hand rods, which is, how normally we do them now. You wheel this tool out, and it can be ran by 2 men, and it's number one in saving injury.
Can you tell me in a few sentences what you love about your job, and why would you recommend this job to someone else?
One of the things that I love the most is just the variety of work that comes our way. Here at LA Sanitation, salary is going to be always there for you. A good work-life combination is going to be something you're going to be able to do, and the security part of it goes a long way. These type of jobs, whether it's wastewater treatment, collections, or water distribution, they're jobs that are always going to be in demand and are always going to be in need. A machine can't do what the person has to go do manually, physically, and get this job accomplished. I absolutely, hands down, can't say that there's anything bad or anything I might need more, than what it is I have here with LA Sanitation.
Did you have any mentors that really encouraged you and motivated you to now work for LA Sanitation?
There's a number of people that along the path of 16 years in this field, helped push me to get to where I'm at now. I think for the most part, it's just it has to grow within yourself. You have to want to chase that knowledge. Knowledge is power, and when you get to a point where you're able to plug all those blocks of information that you picked up along the way, not only do the guy next to you sees it, but your supervisor sees it, management sees it, and how you bring yourself across is what really shows, that this guy's here to help.
What type of formal education did you have to then now have a job here at LA Sanitation?
I started to take the water science courses that allowed me to just understand the hydraulics of water that I was curious about. So after I took the 14 classes that they offered, that's where I obtained the Associates in Science and Water Science. And at the same time, I was taking some wastewater classes just to plug myself into that field as well, and I'm dual certified. The certification part of it helped out a lot to say your foot in the door. There's certain certification tests that you take through the state, and they're an exam that anybody can take, to get into the field. I'm very fortunate to hold 5 fields of certification. I have a grade 3 distribution in water, and I have a grade 2 treatment in water. I have a collections 2 certification for the collections part of it that I'm in now. And I also have a wastewater operator 1 to work at a treatment plant. And I have also a cross connections certification that I also hold for the distribution of water.
That's super exciting. And so can you tell me a little bit about what someone wanting to have a profession like yours can do to then be able to do exactly what you're describing?
You know what? The best thing that I could recommend is have interest. Have interest in the field and just the possibility of not even just doing what it is that I'm doing, the collections part of it, because there's so many other fields of it. You can go into the engineer, start off, with the interest, of, hey, I want to learn what that is. I want to learn what it is that they, from point A to point B, from all the way down to the process of being here at a treatment plant. But there's so many fields that you can branch into. You can go into the operation side of it. You can go into the maintenance side of it. You can go into the GIS side of it. Everything's kind of exploding in a way where windows of opportunity are going to be for everybody. And I think just having that ability to say, hey, I'd like to learn a little bit more about that and get into it, whether it's means of taking some college courses would be the easiest way because it's available in any city. And that can be the first thing towards taking the steps.
I understand that you grew up on a 63-acre farm. Tell me a little bit about how working there while you were growing up benefits your profession now.
Yes, very unique, the upbringing that I had. It was in 63 acres in Moore Park, California. It's in Ventura County. The area is called Home Acres. It's actually an unincorporated part of Moore Park. We grew up there, and all my life we've been around just farmland. It started off with squash. It started off with tomatoes, corn at one point, and what was the gateway for myself that kind of led me to chase this field was trying to understand what the water was doing in the irrigation systems that we had. Very vintage. What we did, it was just a standpipe. Once it gets to the top, you got pressure at the bottom, and it was just very unique to be able to be exposed to that, and the view that, my dad would explain it to me as best he understood it, and it seemed odd to me how when something got to what he called zero, where there was no room left on that standpipe that was 15 feet, at the bottom we would have the pressure that he needed to irrigate, certain acres of field. And it turns out what my dad was trying to tell me at that point was for every foot of head you have on any given height, you get 0.433 psi at the bottom. Not to know at that time, at 15 feet standpipe, we had about 7 psi that he needed to do what he did. And as I learned that later, it was just amazing, from being exposed to that, like what pushed me and carried me to understand, just the hydraulics of water.
Now tell me a little bit about what path did you take to get to now working for LA Sanitation?
You know what, a lot of it had to do, that upbringing. At that ranch style home we live in, there was just a septic system that was very common for us to, at a given, window of time, we'd have to go and dig it up. Pumper would come in, and for the longest time, until I found out, how the conveyance of sewer really worked, I thought everybody was on a septic system. I got my first real break to the introduction of it at the Ventura County Water and Sanitation Services. And there I learned from distribution to wastewater. I found out exactly from point A to point Z how it gets to where it needs to be. And I ended up just chasing that idea, because there's more to it, and with this field, it's very interesting, but the more you know, the more there is to know. You may just know the basic concepts of it, but once you see the whole picture, from sewer conveyance to when it gets to the treatment plant, that is a whole different block of information, that the treatment plant takes care of. There's endless amounts of different processes, that ultimately treat it to where there's zero microbials in it, and we're allowed to release it to creeks or ocean. Or what's big now is the water recycling, which is opening up a huge window for opportunity for people to come in, and be a part of that.
Can you tell me a little bit more about some of these big tools that you get to use and some of the large projects that you've had a chance to work on?
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? Probably the biggest, we would call it the biggest, baddest piece of equipment that we have is our Vactor trucks, and it's a Vactor 2100 is that the actual brand, and that is the most expensive piece of equipment that the LA Sanitation has. It's close to 800,000 plus or minus. Just depends on what we equipped it with. That is the biggest, like I said. After that, it's just a regular hydro machine, and it's a truck, and it just operates with no vacuum system, but it's just the water jet, to say. After that, it jumps down, and it's just a mechanical rotor, and it's just means of mechanically cleaning with 900 plus feet of rod, that they're able to use instead of having to risk bringing the bigger trucks into certain areas here in LA. It can get, really restricted. And then there's also other tools that are along the way that we have still in the works, to say, back at the dungeon getting made, and seeing if we can really get those out for the public and ourselves too, to make it easier for ourselves.
And as far as projects go, do you have any favorite ones, some of the larger ones maybe our viewers know very well?
You know what? There's one actually that it's one of the latest, greatest ones. It's our lateral cleaning system. We'll just say LCS for short. But we're, I think, the only ones in the continental United States putting this thing to work. And it started off as a crazy idea. We got together with one of our vendors, and they put something together, for us. And right now, we're giving it the same thing. We're giving it its wings, its propeller, its landing gear, everything. And we're using it right now as we speak. And what that thing allows the city of Los Angeles to do is, before, customers' homes sometimes get some type of problem, right? Whether it's roots, whether it's, we'll just say, yucky stuff, right? that clogs their lateral coming into our main sewer. So what we're allowed to do now, and we're putting it to flight, is this tool allows us to just strategically clean their lateral going to their house, which evidently is going to, along the way, stop the chances of being a spill. We're doing that. Again, to do one of those, it would be about plus or minus 33,000. We put it to work, and in one day, we were able to do 4, which, when you do the math, you know what, that's very good for the city of Los Angeles to just not have to worry so much about these that were such a problem, and cost.
Great. Well, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.